Hello and welcome to another episode of the Big Money Stylist Podcast. I'm Danielle, your host, and this is my co-host, Anianne Rivera.
Yeehaw, y'all.
Is it
Rivera.
Rivera. No,
You always want to call me Riviera.
Riviera. I want to go to the Riviera. I want to call you Riviera. That was my British accent. You did like it?
I did.
Mama, do you want a spot of tea? I don't know. I thought it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like kind of like sometimes it gets a little twangy and I mix in like, or it's like kind of Australian-y and I'm like, darling, I don't know.
Mate.
All right, mate.
Do you know, by the way, how many messages I keep getting about last week's podcast?
Oh, yeah, it was a good one.
Or I guess one that came out this week. I have been crying, laughing. Everyone, they're like, they're talking about the eye twitches.
Oh, man.
And our editor, because he made a joke about like NBR bodybuilding. And I'm like, we would never do that. As you're talking about fitness, and he has a video of me flexing, doing all this. He goes, thought you said you weren't bodybuilding. Like it was shenanigans last week's episode.
It was a good one. So go back and watch it. If you guys, we do an episode every week, and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I come in feeling silly, and sometimes
Could we look any more opposite? Guys, please go to dkwstyling.com.
My bodybuilding is really working out.
Danielle is solid white. I'm solid black. Her hair's down. My hair is up.
I showered today, and that's a lie. I didn't shower today, but I wanted to look like I showered, so I have this cute little romper on. It's cut puffy sleeves. You look like a hobo.
How the hell is it that I did shower today, but somehow I look like the one who didn't?
Yeah, you know what? I usually wear leggings and an MBRT every day, and because I had a spray tan, I didn't want to put on leggings. I was like, you know how you want to wear something? You don't get a spray tan.
No, I don't.
But you ladies that get a spray tan, you don't want to put on you want to put something loose on.
Oh.
So I went with puffy sleeves and shorts.
Does it just get sticky?
It just feels gross, and I feel like it almost like wipes off on your leggings. Like you're supposed to wear like loose fitted clothes.
Oh.
So that's my story. So anyways, yeah, you can go to dkwstyling.com where I post all of the podcasts if you want to see what we look like and our mannerisms and our top knots and our baby bangs and our pointer fingers and our, all the good
pointer
fingers. But yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. So what are we talking about today?
Well, first, BMSCON 5 tickets are out.
Woo!
I am geeked about it. I feel like I wish I could just take a nap until Con 5. No, Academy Con, because
my eye is twitching less this week.
Man, I got so many DMs about eye twitching.
Yeah, no, but you guys know what we're talking to. Like every person has that. We're like, what's off? What's in like
every single person. I feel like women either do that or they just start crying and they're like, I'm just stressed out. I'm like, I recognize that. I've been there.
So yeah, BMSCON tickets went out. We're about a third of the way sold out in less than. It went live Monday. It's now Thursday.
So
in
3
days. 3-4 days, a third of the way sold out. It's so good. So if you guys have been on the fence and you want tickets, we're doing tiered pricing. Everybody gets the same experience, but those who act early, we're doing better pricing. So which
we've literally never done before.
We've never done, but like everything with COVID that was going on, salons being closed, and I was like, how do we kind of make this a little bit of an opportunity for our artists?
It's a solid discount. Like,
so go to bigmoneystylist.com where you can purchase your ticket before the first 100 tickets are going to at a certain price. The second 100 tickets are going to go to second price. And then I can't talk.
I feel like I have an option.
Sold to you out there, you.
Well, and I feel, I think because like tickets are going on sale now, like we keep getting more and more DMs kind of being like, well, like not like what is it, but
let's talk about it.
Well, do you know someone in the Academy, she was like, can I have a refresher on what the hell does BMS mean? I was like crying, laughing on the phone with her.
You sign in blood and you don't know. No.
So, well, obviously NBR is NBR. It's natural beaded rose. It's a hair extension method that we use that Danielle created, and it's been around for 10 years now.
10 years.
10 years, which is amazing.
It's a solid stamp.
We should have had a birthday party for NBR.
We're an official registered trademark, which a lot of people will put the R, and I'm like, you're not registered. Do not abuse the R. So I'm just
don't abuse the R.
Well, literally, like it's like a lot to get that. Like it took us years to get it. So finally, I'm like, yay! So yeah, 10 years into the NBR brand, about 5 years into the BMS brand, which started out as Big Money Stylist, and it kind of evolved into the business, marketing, and sales because people were like, "What is Big Money Stylist?" And we're like,
"Big money, big money, big money."
Well, and then it was funny. I think it was a student actually who was like, I actually think of it as the business marketing and sales. I was like, amen, thank you. We are using that. That's so much better than big money, big money, big money. But we still call our convention Big Money Stylist Convention because it's just fun and it's kind of catchy.
BMSCON.
It's BMSCON.
Yeah. So and inside of that, I actually wrote something today on Instagram kind of talking about how like when I joined BMS, like I was making no money and I actually like maxed out a credit card to even be able to come, which was mind blowing because that's like the one thing my parents had always taught me.
Don't
like,
do it.
You don't use credit cards ever if you can't afford it. Then you just don't need it. And so that for me was such a like,
but you kind of have to listen to you have to like listen to your heart too, though. You know what I was gonna say?
I knew it was right. I knew I had to do it, but it was also like you just went against everything you've ever been taught. And I was 26 times, so for 26 years, like everything I'd been taught, I went against it. But I mean, it really did kind of put me in a place of like sink or swim. Panicky. $2,000 on a credit card is a lot of money. Like, especially when I was making nothing.
I think that most people don't give themselves enough credit though. Like they say, oh, I don't do well under pressure, but you don't have you literally, it's pretty cut and dry, black and white when you're under pressure. It's like sink or swim. And most people's survival mechanisms kick in and they swim. Mm-hmm. So it's just like,
it's like they say fight or flight.
It's fight. And you know what? I think it's a matter of trusting yourself. Like how you did, you're like, I'm going to put this on my card. But if you didn't trust yourself at some level that you would be able to produce for yourself, you probably would have just sat and not done that, you know?
Oh, I knew. I'm like, okay, you just did that. Like you really better commit. And I've talked to people obviously and kind of about like not just like what BMS is, but when I went, we really didn't even focus on hair at all. Like it was all literally everything.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of hair.
I don't remember if there might have been like one. It was 3 days. It might have been one like afternoon of hair.
We've changed the program a lot in the years. Now I feel like it's pretty solid, but like we were just trying to figure out what was working, what was not. So I don't remember when you came if there was a lot of hair.
I think it was 3 days, and it was like literally one half afternoon of like hair.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a lot at all because we spent most of the time actually doing funnels and like so much business stuff. And I feel like that's just completely what changed everything because you can be good at art.
Right.
But I feel like what artists struggle the most with is literally not even understanding like what they should charge, how to charge, how to up their prices. Like it's...
Well, and that's kind of one of the things when I first started teaching, I went from doing shadowing, which is just one-on-one or I'd have 2 people or whatever. And then I was like, as my brand started to pick up, I was like, okay, I'm going to do small classes from anywhere from like 10 to 20 people. And it would make me so sad when students would come back and say, hey, this isn't working or I don't like it. This system sucks or whatever this and that. And there were so many, yes, there was the tool and I felt like it was a great tool. I had tried so many other extensions and I just kind of accumulated a combination of everything in my 15 years of doing hair. I've been doing hair for 18 years now, but at the time I'd been doing hair for like 8 years. And it was just like an accumulation of everything that I learned that I kind of put together that worked. And I'm not naive enough to think that like MBR is the only way, but I liked it for me and I was always looking for something that would work on my hair, that didn't destroy it, that looked natural, like, you know what I mean? And in doing that and helping myself, I was able to help my clients, right? Yeah. And I just remember teaching and people just being like, oh, this isn't working, whatever. And then I just kept pushing my marketing. And then I saw people kind of, I don't want to say copying, but like doing what I was doing and trying to build their own hand-tied system. Because like, I don't know if you remember, but it was like nobody was a self-proclaimed educator, right? Like you took like a L'Oreal class, you took like a Redken class, or you took a class from somebody who was educating for Redken, right?
Absolutely.
But nobody was like, hey, I
created a thing, I do this.
I'm the new Paul Mitchell and you should probably take this. Like nobody was doing that. And I looked at it as an opportunity and I was like, I created this system, you should learn it. But then I was sad because people weren't getting it. And then, like I said, people started launching their own kind of hand-tied systems and all this shit. And I was like, fuck. And then I was like, I felt like I was like, people were kind of like getting ahead of me and it was like a race. And I was like, okay, well, the system alone is not why I had success. It's just not. And I remember sitting down with Garrett, my husband, and having like this conversation where I'm like, I've got to do something different. I'll be damned if I let all these fucking hooligans or whatever you want to call hooligans. I'll be damned if I let these people come in and take what I've been building for like 5-6 years, take it as their own or create something like similar and like just like I'll be damned. Like I started this a while back and no. And so I knew I had to offer more value and something besides just the tool. And that's when BMS was born.
And that's really, I feel, what made the difference. Because we've said it before, you can be a really great artist, but if people don't know about you and you don't know how to market your art and actually bring in and charge what it should be charged, you're never really going to make it. So going into BMS, I actually got a message today from someone. They're like, ClickFunnels, because I had tagged ClickFunnels because that's like the thing that literally changed my business. And she was like, well, I don't understand like how to use ClickFunnels in this industry. And I looked at that message and I'm like,
isn't that funny?
I'm like, to even answer this question would take me the next 6 months.
It took me a couple years to fully understand the psychology behind ClickFunnels. Like it legit
And that's
did.
the thing. You can't just do something because, oh, I don't know, they told me how to do it.
No,
you have to understand why something works. And I feel like that can be said for NBR and BMS. Like if you're like, I'm just going to like do the thing to do it, but you don't really understand why.
Then you won't have success. You have to understand it.
You do. And that's why even I know like I've been known as like the stickler coach and kind of the mean one, but I'm like, but you don't understand. I'm like, I've been there with no help. And when you have help in front of you and when you're learning from someone who's already succeeded in it, like they already know what it takes to get there. And like even I was just in Michigan. Oh, wait, can I talk about Michigan? Yeah.
I think so.
What happened?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was in a class in Michigan training and I was there with my apprentice, Michelle. It was her salon. It was so cool. And by the way, Michelle's salon is kind of middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like she knows it. And I sat there and I'm like, this girl built up an entire NBR salon.
In the middle of nowhere.
Bought the space. Like this is like tumbleweed, like going across. That's how it literally felt.
But she does only NBR.
She does only NBR. Yep. Her staff does, like, it was amazing. Yep. And in the class, there were 10 other women there who they came from all over. And there were 2 girls there together. They're friends. And I take education very seriously. It's not cheap to come to any of our courses. NBR is for sure a hard method. Like, it just is. And if you're not willing to commit what needs to be committed to do it and do it well.
Yeah, you don't just show up and get the certificate and like that's like being like I went to hair school but I didn't apply it. You know what I mean?
Like I don't like that. So lo and behold, halfway through day 1, I send everybody on a walk and talk and one of the girls is in the bathroom and her friend stayed behind and I'm like, oh, go join another group. She's like, I'll wait for my friend. I think she'd feel better. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to say. And all of a sudden all I hear from the bathroom is and I was like, oh no. I look at her friend and I'm like, is she sick? And she's like, no. I go, is she hungover? She's like, we went out last night. I was like, oh my God. So yes, I did kick the student out. I made her leave. And it's not to be an asshole, but we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like you have to be responsible and I get it. I mean, I don't drink a lot, but I do drink. And it's sometimes like if you have a class, if you have something you got to reel it in. So
and that's my thing. Like to me, it's like you want to go have fun, party. Hey, I have done that. I did it at the first BMSCON. In my defense, I at least waited till the end of the very last day. I went hard.
You guys got really reprimanded.
We got. Well, I don't. At some point, I think you and Garrett came to talk to me. Literally, don't remember. Like that was a wreck. But guess what? I never did it again. I also didn't do it during the event. Like I waited till the last day. And that really bummed me out for them because the entire portion she missed was beadwork, and I'm like, it's like the foundation of NBR, and for me to not take it seriously and to have taken someone's spot because we have a wait list for these classes of like who would have wanted to fully commit really bummed me out. And her salon owner is in the academy. Oh. I did talk to her, by the way.
Okay. I felt bad, but Ani called me and she's like, should I excuse her? And I was like,
dude.
I was like, it's super irresponsible, but more than anything, as like the brand owner, I'm like, it's not even safe with what's going on. So yes, you have permission to excuse her. Like she says she's hungover, but we don't know that. And I'm sorry, but you can't go into a salon. They take your temperature. Like you're wearing masks. Like it's serious. Like you cannot go out and then come to class and throw up even if you are hungover. It's irresponsible and it's unprofessional if I let that student stay.
And dude, how much were you drinking? I mean,
that's a lot. I mean,
to be throwing up all day the next
I've only had one time where I was that 2, 3.
It's been like a short 75 times, but it's only been 75 times. But even like inside of that, and I think that's why I'm known as like such a stickler is because I know, and though, like you created it, but you know what it takes to get there. And you know that like just showing up to a class isn't enough. Being good at hair isn't enough. Like, and I see so many students that I'm like, if you could just like take a little more feedback, which I know we talk about a lot, and like start implementing things regardless of how uncomfortable you are.
Right.
It makes the world of difference because there has to be more. And that's really what set NBR apart. The lights just flickered. That actually scared me. But like that's, I feel what's really set NBR apart is that we're not just like, here's how you hashtag some stuff. Like it'll be great.
And like I said, like in the beginning, I remember because I was teaching solo and I didn't have help and I didn't have support groups. I literally like in the beginning, like I had one girl that finally like started working for me and she would like set up the event, and even something as simple as just like setting up chairs. I was like, thank you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, or like a little bit of follow-up that she did. I was just like, thank you. But in the beginning, I literally was doing everything. I would bring past students like back and be like, hey, do you want the opportunity to come to take another class? You just have to assist me. You know what I mean? And so it was just so exhausting. And I remember thinking I was trying to juggle everybody, but I couldn't help everybody. And I always think about like California schools when they have like, you know, like 30 kids in a room and one student. I'm like, how can you expect to get a good education? Like it's so hard, right?
Dude, there's so many.
There's so many. And it's not that I don't care, but I don't have enough time. And so it's like the ones that would stick out, I would really like go around. And then the ones that like didn't do their pre-training, I was like, I'd come over and I'd be like, you're fucked. In my mind, I was literally like, you're fucked. And there's nothing I can do. I cannot let the class have me sit here on you for 2 hours because you didn't do the pre-training. That's not fair. And so I had to be like take a deep breath and be like, you're fucked. And then I just realized I'm like, hey, we've got to improve how we're training. We have to make sure that the students are retaining the information. That's what MBR is known for. Is it's not just like, oh, we're the best method on the planet. Like, again, no, I was looking for something that worked for my hair, and I feel like I created a solution. Are there other methods out there that are probably as good? Sure, I don't know. Is their education as good as mine? I think my education is pretty fucking solid. I will just say that.
There was a girl, I won't say her name, but there was a girl just in the class in Michigan, and as we were talking and kind of talking about like why they're here and all they've experienced, and she was like, look, I learned from another method. And later she told me what method that was, but at the time I'm like, doesn't even matter what it is. She's like, I went and I learned another method. She goes, just in the pre-training, I can tell how different it is and the attention to detail that you guys have.
Right.
And that's what matters, because if we put all the attention to detail inside of their training, you guys as students are then able to take it to your salon in 2 separate ways. One, behind the chair in the service that you're actually providing your client, and providing an amazing, phenomenal service and experience allows you to charge $2,000, $3,000 per person. But then all of the details that goes in front of the chair, which is pricing, it's assistance, it's how to pay people. Like,
how to have hard conversations with a price increase, how to sell product, how to check
how
them
do you
out
actually
properly.
Brand yourself? Like, how do you brand yourself? How do you market yourself? How do you run ads? How do you create a funnel? How do you have an application?
Yes.
What the fuck do you even do with an application? Like, there's so much.
There's just a lot. And so again, it's like kind of going back to like, I always look at it as like, I'm not just trying to sell another system. I don't think I'm like the best, but I do know that I have really solid education because of how much I care that people actually succeed. Like to me, that gives me way more purpose than just selling another class. Like the money doesn't fucking matter if people aren't having results to me.
Well,
like,
and that's the crazy thing, because even like our wait list, like I know we both continuously get messages every day of people being like, can you just release the online course again? And we're like, no, because it's not enough.
That's why
it's great.
We always like cringe a little bit with the online course. I'm like, I'll do it, but I'm only releasing it because I'm hoping that you guys want more. Like I'm literally hoping like this is the bottom of my value ladder, and I hope that you get so much value in this that you want to take the next step up.
And guess what? That did happen, because a lot of people from the online course have now applied, and they're actually coming to BMSCON, because I think that they really see that. So all I know is, for me, even take away the fact that I'm training here now, because I didn't start here. I started as a student, which is why I've seen everything grow without having been taught the business side, which I had no know-how on. Like, honestly, I don't feel like I'm a complete fucking idiot. Am I the smartest person in the world? Definitely not. There are a lot smarter people, but I simply just didn't know how to apply any kind of business tactics to the business of hair.
I think what's crazy too is I think people just think, well, I'm a new salon owner, and I am, but I've been I've always rented. I've never like worked for somebody else. I've always kind of been my own boss. And not only that, but like the business tactics that we're teaching, it wasn't like something that I just used inside of my salon. It was stuff that Garrett used inside of Warrior as far as like marketing and systems and processes. So it's not just like it's not just business marketing sales just for hairdressers. Like it's not just like, hey, get QuickBooks and get so what's the salon software that we use?
MindBody.
Get MindBody and do that. There's so many other things that you need, like especially if you have huge teams and that kind of thing, that we really teach based off what even Garrett was doing with Warrior. So I think people think, oh, she's a new salon owner, and I've had my salon for like 5 years now. So I'm like, yay, 5 years. But even then, it's like these are tactics that aren't new. You know what I mean? And it's not like...
What I think is cool, though, although it's not tactics that are new, honestly, I don't think many new things come around these days. I feel like not everything that's going to be invented is,
it's just like at some point you understand it. It like clicks for you, you know?
But I feel like it's very cool. We've taken things that work in other industries, whether it's finance or coaching or fitness or whatever it is, and we've taken it all, brought it into BMS, and then
applied it to hairdressers.
Worked it around so that it's not just like, well, if you have a business that services clients, this could work. We're like, no. This does work because we created it for stylists. This does work because we tested it at DKW. This does work because students have tested it in large cities, small cities, like everywhere.
And Garrett really helped me break that mold, because in the beginning when I would rely so heavily on his teams, I'd be like, artists don't fucking do it that way. And he was like, are you an artist? Like I was like, mother. And then I was just like, there was this 2-year period where I learned from him and he learned from me. And then it was too much conflict in our marriage. So we had to like separate and go our own ways. And now we're both doing our own thing and it's amazing. But it was just, I had to start thinking outside of the box, because there's a lot of things in our industry that, yes, they work. Like when you think about the fundamentals of hair school, obviously it works to a certain point to get to you to a certain point, right? But my goal was, I'm like, okay, with so much online information, how can we kind of create like a hair school, but online, but specific to the business marketing and sales? That's not really taught. Like everybody's offering these 1-day boot camps or these six-week things. And I'm like, no, I want to like take you through a journey of a hair school online on the business marketing and sales. But then I also want to give you a tool, and not just a tool that you can charge $100, $200 from. It doesn't matter if you live in a tiny town, you can charge thousands for. So if I teach you some good business tactics, and I hate the word tactics, by the way, if I teach you the BMS side of things,
and knowledge.
Yes, if I teach you the skills and knowledge and I back it up with a solid tool in which I put as much detail into that as I do on this side, like that's why our students are having results. So when people say, I don't know, tell me more about your system, I'm like, the system's great, but you're really missing the big pitch that I'm trying to give you right now. I'm trying to give you an ATM. I'm trying to give you success. Like, stop measuring what's in it for me. What's the difference between these two?
Because that's the thing. If you're measuring tool to tool, it doesn't fucking work. It's like, I don't know, maybe like cars, when you're like, oh yeah, well this car looks fancy, but that car looks fancier. It doesn't matter. Maybe the car that looks less fancy actually has a better engine, better systems inside, maybe the GPS, but like there's so much more that goes into it. Although I will say,
you have to ask the right questions. MBR, no, like MBR.
I'll say MBR is
solid.
packaged beautifully, but I will say not that we're the less fancy car, but.
Oh, what was he trying to say? No,
But I think that's what it is. I think people are so honestly blinded. They're so blinded by everything from the outside and fucking social media.
I was going to say, we talked about that in one of our classes, because we asked our students, we're like, hey, how did you find us? How long were you following? And this kind of thing. And I have a decent following. My hair page is almost like 70,000 followers. Like it's decent. And I remember thinking, they're like, oh, I went and took this other one that's got, 500,000 followers or whatever it is. And like, I'm like, you bought into popularity. And she was like, yeah. She's like, it was good, but it wasn't, it was okay. Like, it was kind of like a demo.
Stoked.
Yeah, she was like, it was kind of like a demo, and did I learn some things? Great. But this, like, she was the one that was like, I can already see a huge difference in how detailed you guys are. But if you don't do your pre-training, if you don't do your homework, if you don't show up with your game face, if you don't show up I look at it as like, you have to submit as the student. Like, you cannot have results. Like, even, like, I know I keep bringing up my fitness thing because I'm getting down to the wire.
You're getting close, girl.
I'm getting down to the wire. I still have 5 weeks, but I literally, I'm, like I said, I feel like I'm a pretty confident person, and just being so vulnerable in a bikini and like posing, I just feel like, oh my God. And so I'm being very receptive to what my coaches are telling me. And like my nutritionist, he's telling me like, you should see what I eat. I'm literally like, I can't eat any more chicken. Like,
oh, no.
It's so much food. And so I literally am like, I hired this guy and he's telling me to eat this and it's counterintuitive. I think I'm going to get big because it's so many calories. You know, I'm like, I don't want to get that big. Like, I'm worried that I'm going to like get all manly or something. And I'm like, Danielle, you hired a coach, so why don't you listen to your coach? And I think that that's the problem is people hire a coach and they listen to him 50% of the time.
They listen to what they want to listen, but then and that blows my mind because I've experienced that from students because I get it. I'm young. I'm 30. I was hired on when I was 27. I'd been doing
like,
hair.
Well, that makes sense, but you don't know because you're 30.
They're literally like, oh, you're how old? 27? Well, I've been doing hair as long as you. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You haven't been doing this. And with all due respect, I will run motherfucking circles around you when it comes to this. Not because I'm an egotistical bastard, because God damn it, have I fucking worked at this.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to me telling a student, let me help you make it there.
Yeah, you have to submit.
And you can tell I get so frustrated because I'm like, I'm literally sitting you, I'm handing you a map, I'm telling you, if you do these things, you will find success. Yes. And you still come back
and you pick and choose.
No.
And you're like, well, I'm going to do this one and I'm going to do this one. And every time it's so funny. Every time I'm like, I'm going to skip a meal today. I'm like, Danielle?
You're an asshole.
Danielle, I'm like, you trust the process. You say you're going to trust the process. You pay for the process. You're 98% into the process. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or not even 90%.
Yes.
Like, but that's what I'm saying.
But it is. If you were to go through and be like, you know what, Val, I don't think I'm going to work out, but I'll eat the food. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
If you were to look at your nutritionist and you're like, stop calling me Danny. I'm not listening to your fucking food plan. I'm just going to work out. It wouldn't work. Or if you were to listen to them, but be like, oh, that pose is stupid. I'm not going to do it. The only reason that you're going to do well going into that fitness competition is because you've done everything. You've ate all the food, disgusting food that you have to eat, the gross amounts. You've done all the workouts. You've done the posing. You're practicing. So if you think you can come to any class and be like, I'm not going to do pre-training.
Like, and you know what's crazy too is like, if you put the work into something, even if you're not perfect, you better believe you're going to stand up on that stage knowing like, just feeling good. Like knowing like, I took advice from my coaches. I did what I was supposed to. Like, I'm good. And now it almost pushes you to be better. You're like,
and you might go into it nervous. And like, same with being on stage or the first NBR client that you do, or the first client that you fire, or the first time that you raise your prices, or the first time that you hire an assistant or a manager or whatever it is, you're going to go into it nervous, but knowing that you prepped and that you have support behind you changes it.
It does.
So that's why for me, when students are like, I've literally had students message me during quarantine, and one girl in particular, she was like, I thought you guys were you and Danielle were full of shit. She literally goes, I thought you guys were full of shit. I went against everything you said, and guess what? I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I haven't seen my kids. I haven't seen my husband. The money isn't there. She's like, you were right. I fucked up. And I'm like, I know you fucked up. I'm watching you do it.
And it's, you know what I think too, is I think people should make things harder on themselves than they need to be, right?
Sometimes I wonder if it's like I want to be right thing. Oh, you're gonna tell me I'm gonna do it my way and prove you wrong.
It's I don't really know what it is. I honestly believe that it's like counterintuitive. We do things like we're running on the hamster wheel thinking that running faster is gonna get us somewhere, and it's like no. I want you to take and so say somebody says something like Daily 4. Daily 4 is like a marketing thing.
We require students to do 4 things every day: audio, record a video, post a picture, and write a blog post.
Literally the simplest thing, but you have to do it every day consistently. We're like, you got to do this every day. They're like, what about Sundays? Is Sunday a day? So every fucking day you're gonna do this, and it's so funny because like, well, we'll ask them questions when they're not having results, and we're like, something as simple as like, how's your daily 4? And they're like, well, I did it on Tuesday.
I do like a daily 1.
I did the audio on Wednesday, and then I'm like, okay, how many days are in a week? 7. How many things are we asking you to do? 4. That's not that complicated. I need you to do that, and I need you to stay consistent. And through consistency, you see results. But people they're not consistent enough. So they try one thing, and then they're like, your plan didn't work. And you're like,
you tried it once. You cannot work out once and expect to lose any weight or have the butt that you want or be fit. Nothing works that way. You have to be consistent, and you have to do it all the time, and you have to do every single step. You can't skip a fucking step.
I would say the big thing for me too, and I'd say women in general, is like you say you feel like you fuck up, and then you feel guilty, and then you go back into like old patterns and behaviors
because it's easy.
Because it's easy, but it's just it's really not. Like once you start to see and recognize those changes and like trust the process, it becomes easier to follow directions.
I think when people are, I literally just had this conversation conversation with the CFO. I said, when people are not being watched and when they do not have someone holding them accountable, they revert to the lowest form of themselves because there's no one. Look, it happened to you when Val wasn't watching you. You were like, Val's gone. I'm going to have this margarita. All of a sudden she's like, Danielle, what are you doing? You're like, ah! You're like, I'm not having a margarita. But like literally the minute she texted you, were like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And I truly believe that you giggle, but I believe that people do that. If you don't have someone holding you accountable to be like, what are you doing? Yeah. Why have you done this? Why have you not done this? Right. Like, what the fuck is going on? Then people, they're like, no one's watching. It doesn't matter, but it does matter.
It does. And I think people spiral down though. So say, for example, I'll use the margarita. Like I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to have 7 margaritas or I'm going to have like a margarita every night. Like instead of just being like, you said the perfect thing a couple podcasts ago where you're like, don't let a moment like ruin your whole day. You know what I mean? Or don't let a couple moments like just be like, okay, I had a margarita, like whatever. I'm still going to like be good on my diet for today. I'm going to like do this. I'm going to wake up and work out. I'm going to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like don't fuck yourself over and like be like, and spiral down. And then you're like 3 weeks behind on whatever it is you're doing.
And I've had those conversations. Like I have personal conversations with our students where I call them and I'm like, you're 4 months behind. What is going on? And they're like, I really fucked up 1 month and then it was hard and then I felt bad. So then I didn't do another month and then I felt worse. So then I didn't do another month.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and they're like, they literally go, I don't even know where to start. I go somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Just start somewhere. And the minute you take that one step, you're going to realize you're not actually remotely as far behind as you thought you were and you can catch up in an instant. But for me, it's you can't skip a step.
Yeah.
You cannot skip a step. You can't do great beadwork but have shitty color. You can't do great color and have shitty beadwork. You can't do everything great and then take shitty photos. Like,
well, people always ask me too. They're like, well, what's good about MBR? And I'm like, it's beads and stitching. But you know what? I will tell you, with any extension system you use, color plays a huge role.
Ooh,
the amount of hair you put on somebody's head plays a huge role. Placement plays a huge role. Cut plays a huge role. So you can say you like MBR or you don't like MBR, but it's a package deal. And that's one of the things I'm like passionate about educating on is like blending, cutting, like down to like how many pieces per weft based on density and texture and this and this.
And style and photo.
Everything. There's so much just behind the art. And I think people, when they want to learn a new system, they think, oh, show me how to put the bead on and show me how to stitch the hair on. It's so much more complex than that. Again, just like if you want it to look natural, there's so many variables that play a huge role in that in representing that extension system.
Well, and that's why we've always told the students, you can do beautiful color, but if your beadwork is shit, then it's going to fall out and your client isn't going to be happy. You could do beautiful beadwork, but if your color is shit, it's not going to match and your client's going to be unhappy. You could do beautiful color, beautiful beadwork, beautiful stitching, but if your style is gross, your client is going to be bummed that now they have to go home and wash their own fucking hair. You could do beautiful color, beadwork, stitching, and bead style. But if your photos are garbage, you have no marketing to actually entice new clients to come in because your work looks like shit because your photos look like shit.
Yeah.
And then if you're posting none of it, no one even cares.
And you know what's so funny? I think in the beginning, if you can't look back at your work and give yourself feedback, you can't get better. And over time, it's almost like you have the goggles on. You're like, my work's really good because you haven't trained yourself to improve. Like I literally got so obsessive over my work. I'm kind of like this in general, but I would get so obsessive over it and be like pairing apples, like I'd like line them up and be like, okay, how can this be better? How does this look like? Where does it, like, what do I need to do? How do I get this color to connect? And just give myself feedback and be willing to learn and try
even
things.
Inside of that, if you don't, because I feel like sometimes you're almost blinded. You're like, I don't even understand where it went wrong. Yeah. Ask someone who knows.
Right.
Just fucking ask someone and get help where you need it.
Right.
So we're coming to the end. I could talk for 10 more years about this.
I feel like we always start and we're like, where's this gonna go? And
by then, the end, we're like,
we're like really fired up. You can tell we're very passionate hairdressers and we believe in what we do and hopefully it shows. And I know I'm so grateful for all of our students that are having success, honestly.
I love it. Every time I get a message, did you read all of it? You're going to have to, we'll have to finish reading the, we're choosing platform artists this year for BMSCON 5 and to read what the students wrote. Cause I was legit like, this is a chance for you to become a trainer. Like, why is this important to you? And all those messages, I'm like, this is why we do this. It's amazing.
I know.
It's great.
It's true. It's got to be more than just like a demo that you do. Like if you guys can't see the value and the passion that we have, like maybe now's not your time. But if now is your time, I'd encourage you to go to bigmoneystylist.com and get your ticket for BMSCON because it will sell out in the next probably a couple weeks, if
Max.
not sooner. And we only do this event once a year. I realize everything that's going on with COVID. We are well prepared for that. We have plenty of space, sanitation stations. We are definitely taking all the precautions. So if you can come this year and you feel like now's your time, I'd encourage you again to go to bigmoneystylist.com and get your ticket today before they sell out. So
And thanks for listening to Big Money Stylist Podcast. If there's ever something that you want kind of feedback from me and Danielle, or something you want to hear us talk about, DM us on Instagram and we'll get back to you. So have a great, this comes out on Tuesday. Have a great Tuesday, guys.
Tuesday.
And
We'll see you next time.
Whoa.